Good afternoon, everybody. We're very lucky this afternoon to have joining us the latest Top Fuel Renaissance team, I guess we can say, for lack of a better word. The owner, Mr. Phil Lamattina, and Aaron Hambridge, the new pilot. Gentlemen, welcome and thank you for your time.
Oh, thanks very much. G'day, Brett. Thanks.
Phil, I think we'd like to start with you. If you can just let our listeners in on a little bit of, if they've been living in a place where the internet and television doesn't work for the last 12 months, what happened to you and what's progressed from that 12 months ago roughly, and how you see where we've got to today about what the Lamattinas are up to.
Yeah, well, Brett, obviously we had the accident there back at the Winter Nationals last year, and consequently from that, the injuries that I sustained, had to have the operation, stayed in hospital for practically 17 days, got home. It's been, I suppose, what I would say maybe normal recovery, slow but steady. Just recently got the all clear to say that what the doctor touched or what the surgeon touched has been good. Bones all grafted together nicely. And now it's just that, I just have to progressively just, strengthen my muscles around my back and, start using it all again. And I just sort of put it down to I just put it down to that I've got a sore back now. That's it. And I just got to watch what I do. And but that's life, and I'm comfortable with that. But sort of following on from that, I've been talking last year to Scott McLean from Hidden Valley, and from that conversation, he wanted to run what was called Nitro Up North, and with the two fuel cars, myself and my brother John driving. And we've been negotiating, and up until the Winter Nationals, Scott come down from Darwin and met us at Willowbank, and that Saturday morning of the actual accident, I shook hands on the deal, which was, to take the two fuel cars up to Darwin. And, obviously we know what happened after that. We had the accident and couldn't make it. And it was a good, great thing that the Rapasadas were able to step in at pretty short notice and make that happen. So that was pretty good. And by all accounts, they done very well up there, and, put a good show on. And, from that, I kept in touch with Scott, and he just really was checking up on my progress, just as a bit of a courtesy and bit of friendship, and just as a bit of a passing comment in them conversations. I sort of had a bit of a joke and said, I never got to come up to Darwin. What about if we ran the fuel car up there? And we sort of were joking, and then I sort of said it again, and he said, "Are you half serious?" And I never really thought about it, and then started thinking about it and thought, what, that was something that I set up, and I wanted to, repay the favour, and that's sort of how it all come about, and had to get a driver, and Aaron was the choice in that situation there, and that's how it progressed from that.
Awesome, thank you for that insight. Aaron, I'm sure it would have taken a lot of arm twisting to get you off the spanners and onto the steering wheel?
Yeah, no, not at all. No, we spoke about it, earlier in the year, about getting in the car, if you'll ask me if I'd get in. And, after seeing, first-hand Phil's accident and stuff, a lot of people, I think, weren't sure if I'd say yes or not. But, unfortunately, in this sport and then world in general, just things happen. And, I don't know, sometimes I believe in fate a little bit. But, so I think just put that aside, and, an accident can happen to anybody, and I can, get run over crossing the street. So put that aside, and, as soon as Phil offered me the drive of the car, I jumped at the chance. It wasn't going to be an easy thing to do. Number one, because Phil's a foot shorter than me, and I didn't exactly fit straight in, so that was one challenge. And obviously part of having to drive the car, I still got to continue to make the major tuning calls back in the pits and do that. And I had to be prepared, and sort of Phil asked me if I really thought I'd be up to the task. And it is a big job. It's a lot different to my old days in my alcohol car of tuning and driving. It's a lot bigger responsibility and a lot more things to think about. So, but always up for a challenge. So, yeah, I put my hand up, and, yeah, here we are.
Hey, Brett, just to add on that, you know, that was, even for me, initially, to have the thought of Aaron to drive the car, it was a process that I had to go through, that I was comfortable enough to ask Aaron, let alone anybody in the same situation, to come and drive a car or come and drive a fuel car, and that, you know, we've had an accident with. So that to me took a bit of a process as well, to come up to the conclusion to ask somebody to come and drive. So that's the other thing a lot of people don't realise, I suppose, that, you know, everyone thinks, oh, yeah, no, that was pretty easy sort of decisions to make. It wasn't. It was very difficult. I didn't just make that overnight. Spent a long time thinking about that, and to put somebody in the car and see if, you know, to do that to somebody, you know what I mean, and have that risk. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great perspective. Thanks, Phil. Aaron, it was a pretty good segue you touched on there a second ago about your previous alcohol days. I mean, most of us who haven't got the world's greatest memory, we remember you over the last 5 or 10 years as the tuner behind the Lamattinas. But we all know that those of us who are a little older in the tooth know that you had an illustrious alcohol career yourself.
Yeah, we just family-owned team, just backed ourselves. Pretty much me, Dad, were the main guys in Sydney. I had a couple of guys interstate that crewed for us. It was a really good deal. But, you know, you didn't need as many people like you do with a top fuel car. So, yeah, we had a heap of fun. And you know, we ran on a tight budget compared to some of the other teams. And we kicked their butts politely. But that was kind of really cool. That was the cool thing about it. And, you know, we had a ton of fun racing alcohol over the years and got along with everybody in the class too, which was cool. But to go up against, you know, legends of the sport like the Reeds and Gary Phillips and people like that, when I was probably only in my early to mid-20s, and be beating those guys sometimes, that was pretty cool. That was a pretty big achievement, and we held the national record for the class for, I think, 5 years. I think it still stood 2 years after we stopped racing alcohol. You know, I got 2 Winter Nationals wins. I got a Nationals win, the East Coast Champs when that race was on, so got some gold Christmas trees out of it, and that's really where I learned, you know, most of my stuff, you know, that I know now about racing. A lot of it wasn't applicable to top fuel, but the fundamentals and the basics, yeah, that's where I learned it all. So it was an awesome class. I enjoyed it, and you know, I still feel like I have a little bit of unfinished business back in top alcohol that I'll maybe finish one day, but definitely ain't going to be anytime soon, I don't think. So yeah, but no, it was a great class, great people, and then now moving on, I'm actually getting to go race against one of those guys again. You know, go and try and beat up on Wayne Newby again. Okay,
very cool. So, are there many driving skills or attributes that transgress, they cross over from the alcohol car to this, or is it just such a totally different beast?
Nah, it's really different. You know, the basics of driving a dragster come across, so, you know, just how you steer it and simple things like that, but completely different discipline. I've been probably, I would call, lucky over the last 3 years, having driven one of the outlaw nitro funny cars for Graham Cowan and the one that me and Phil put together ourselves, and done quite a few laps in it. So with that style of car, the routine is very similar, almost identical to the top fuel car. So if anything, that's probably been a big help for me getting into top fuel car. So not only having been around the car for the last 5-6 years and knowing the routine inside out, but actually having a car where everything you do is almost exactly the same. But yeah, the alcohol car, completely different beast. But I would say more things to do, but a lot more time to do it in.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And Phil, you didn't have that learning curve. You came fairly much straight towards top fuel, is that accurate?
Yeah, that's pretty much accurate. I didn't have actually zero experience in anything quick, that's for sure. Done the Frank Hawleys, and that sort of gave me a bit of a perspective. I never really put a race suit on or a helmet and sat in the car or anything, so that Frank Hawleys was the first time, and that's a bit of a funny story. When I turned up to Hawleys there, and he come in, and there was only 3 of us in the class, and his top alcohol class, and said, "Oh, what do you what do you want to get out of this these 2 days or 3 days, whatever it was?" And I said, "Oh, after this, I want to go home and I've got to get my license in our family top fuel car." And the look on his face wasn't really encouraging, that's for sure. But I've done the job, and once I finished that, I sort of said to him, I said, "Frank, you've seen a lot of guys or people come through here, am I going to be all right?" And he said, "No, you'll be fine." So from there, he gave me a bit of confidence, and it never gets you, I suppose, ready for a top fuel car anyway, that's for sure.
All right, awesome, thank you. Now, Aaron, let's...
Yeah, I'll second that as well. I've done hundreds of laps in my alcohol dragster, and I think Phil might have done half a dozen when he was in the US, and none of them were still any inkling as to what was waiting for me last weekend, that's for sure.
All right, well, let's get to last weekend. I think you went 850 or 860 to the 60 foot on the first pass?
Yeah, I think it went 860, yeah. Yep. That was probably not really tuned up to run quite that quick, but it did.
Well, that would have got your attention.
Yeah, plus the first 100 feet isn't all that much different. It's from there on is where you really sort of get out of the car and go, "Oh my God, Wayne Newby told me the same thing. It's a very hard thing to describe to people how these cars feel, but once you're talking to people that have done it, you can relate to those guys a lot easier than what you can someone who's never been in it. And especially with Wayne having made hundreds of laps in his alcohol car as well. So I spoke to him, the last few months. We talk a couple of times a week just through work and stuff like that. And everything he described to me, I guess I took it on board and thought, "Oh, okay," but he described it to a T. It's, you stand on the throttle, doesn't feel all that much different, but when that clutch starts coming in, and it just pushes you back in the seat. But the thing is, it just keeps pushing you back in the seat. With the alcohol car, you leave the start line and it's got your pin back pretty good, and then you punch a gear and it gives you a bit more of a shunt in the seat, but then it kind of relaxes, you put it in top gear, and then you're pretty much just sailing down the racetrack. This thing, you stand on the throttle and you get out there a little bit, and then there's just like this overwhelming pressure on your chest, pinning you back in the seat, but it stays there the whole way down the racetrack, and it just continues to pull and push you back in the seat in comparison to the alcohol car. The alcohol car didn't do that. Like I said to a lot of guys through the week, like the fastest I'd ever ran the quarter mile was 259 mile an hour. I ran 259 mile an hour to half track on my first pass in a top fuel car. So, yeah, I'd increased my half track mile an hour by 50 over anything that I'd ever done before. So that was a real eye opener. I guess I might have had a slight preconceived idea on what it would be like. I figured, I've driven up to this point, I've driven everything, well, not everything, but I've driven the fastest vehicles up until a top fuel car. It's going to be fast, but I guess I had a question in my head, how much faster can it really be? Well, the answer is a ton. It's a hell of a lot faster. It's not just a little bit, it is a big difference.
Okay, all right. So we're going to roll the vision now in the video clip that we're going to put up for everyone to watch, and I'm sitting here watching you roll through the water for your first burnout. Just talk us through what was going through your mind in that, not a bad burnout by the way either, just quietly. And there's the lovely Sarah chasing you down the track, so the Lamattina's had eyes on you from every angle, mate.
Yeah, the tyres are brand new, and I knew that at the back of my head. The burnout and stuff like that didn't worry me at all. I wasn't nervous or concerned about that whatsoever. That was just business as usual compared to, especially the Nitro 20 car. That was all pretty much normal, so that didn't worry me, concern me. I wasn't nervous about that part one bit. Just rolled through the water. My dad was there to bring me through, and just waited for him to give me the signal, and then put off the clutch, step on the gas, and just keep things straight as you can.
Just watching it now, you lifted the front wheels reasonably well, and it went through with a 505. Had a little bit of a squirrel in the top end.
Yeah, they told me to shut it off early and pull the chutes, just so I obviously knew where I was and stuff like that. But like I said, a lot of guys after 10 years of racing, to get told to actually shut it off early was a strange thing. The idea was as soon as you hit the throttle and the noises in your ears and the car's feeling good, I actually had to remember to turn the car off. It wasn't just a natural instinct, okay, turn it off and up. It was like, got the car going, it was going pretty straight, and then I sort of was like, oh yeah, that's right, you shut it off. Like it was sort of, and obviously by the time I shut it off, I was past half track by about 100 feet, so I think around 322 and a half, and I shut it off at like 3.6 or 3.7 seconds. So it was only just fast, but in the car, that couple of tenths is quite a bit of distance. Yeah. So, but no, honestly, the first one, getting the thing to half, it got there very fast, obviously, and that was a real eye-opener. I got off the throttle, and the one thing that I wasn't prepared for was how hard the parachutes hit. Now, they're the same parachutes that I've always used, but according to the computer, I was doing about 285 mile an hour by the time they come out, and that extra 30 mile an hour on top of how fast they would have been, they hit enormously harder than I was ever used to. And the big screw at the end, when I knew it was starting to move over because it was starting to spin the tyres, but when I pulled the chutes, my head snapped forward that hard that I actually lost sight of the racetrack for a second and got my head back up and was like, oh, I'm over near the wall there, pull that back, So,
okay.
The next one I had to make sure I was a lot more prepared for that. I didn't expect them to hit anywhere near as hard as what they did.
Yeah, well, we've just watched the second pass there, and I might say you looked a tiny little bit late on the chutes on that second pass.
Yeah, that second run there, I wanted to run it the whole way down, and it got just past half track and dropped a hole, and it was moving around, and I remember thinking to myself, well, I'm really having to steer this thing to keep it straight, but nothing out of control. And then I felt it just nose over right near the finish line, so I got off the throttle, and it's an air-operated chute, which is the first time I've had that. So I pushed the button on the steering wheel, jumped on the brakes, and realised that the chutes hadn't hit, and I was slowing down, but nowhere near quick enough. So I went back, and all it was I didn't actually push the button on the steering wheel hard enough.
Okay.
I know I pushed it, I definitely pushed it, but I just obviously never pushed it hard enough. So that's just something I've got to get used to doing. And even with an alcohol car with gear shift buttons, I always used to shift with my right hand. So I've never had to do anything in the car with my left hand before. I'm used to just leaning across, hitting a level with my right hand. The button deal is definitely a safer way. You don't have to remove your hand off the steering wheel. I just have to make sure I push the button hard enough.
Okay.
So,
cool.
Yep.
All right, so you mentioned it dropped a hole. I mean, it went 482, but only 283, so nosed over a little in the top end?
Yeah, it dropped the cylinder at 3.5. I always used to wonder if these drivers could hear these things drop holes and do things like that, and I definitely heard it. You hear the engine change note sort of just past half track. I could hear it in the car. You wouldn't hear it externally, but in the car you can hear the motor change. And then I kind of had an idea that's what it might have been, but I wanted to get it to the end of the racetrack. But then when I really felt it sort of nose over, and at first it felt like not a pop, but a bit of a stud. And that's when I got off it, and I thought, I hope I haven't hurt this thing. And all it did is stripped all the teeth off the blower belt, so I was even off the throttle pedal at 4.6 seconds. So it was not a reasonably clean run. It's just, when the blower belt decided to completely give up, the engine just turned off. So, it was, I was steering it, and it was moving around a little bit, so just all part of the experience. But with no grip out there, you can't keep enough load on the engine to burn the fuel. So,
okay.
It was a stone cold racetrack. So I think we did pretty good for conditions we were given.
I think you did extremely well. Phil, you've now got a fully licensed Top Fuel pilot to take to Darwin. What are the plans?
For the future or for Darwin?
I wouldn't be quite that cheeky to ask you about the future just yet. Let's get Darwin out of the way first.
Oh, look, Darwin for us is just have a bit of fun, and obviously when we go there, you always want to be competitive, that's for sure. And there's going to be 3 other cars there that are tough. In the last 12 months, they're all been running 450. So, we've got to go up there, and if the track conditions are good and whatever the track conditions are, we'll race that racetrack, and we want to win. That's it. We want to be first over the finish line. But for us, it's just to have a bit of fun. Put the toe back in the water, get a bit of a taste for it. Do we, after all this time, do we really still enjoy it? Don't we enjoy it? We always race with the family, so they're part of the decision-making process as well. So we'll just, we'll go to Darwin and we'll put on a good show and we'll be competitive, and if everything goes well, we'll win, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Sounds like I need to pencil in my diary to make a quick phone call to you early on the Monday morning afterwards.
No, don't don't ring us too early because by that time there we're still probably tired from packing up and we won't want to come back again racing because that's the hardest part about racing is packing up. But, we're just taking the family for a drive and we're going to drive up there and drive back and never been up through the centre of Australia and should be ashamed of ourselves really because it's such a beautiful country. So I'd like to have a bit of a look at it and see if we see anything we like and maybe come back and visit it another time. But I want to go and see Ayers Rock. I haven't seen that. And, it's all part of the experience, That's what we want to do.
Awesome. All right. Well, gentlemen, I am immensely grateful for both of your time. Two standouts in our sport. I hope that the Andra Kickoff Series up there and the Nitro up north for Hidden Valley is a huge success. It's only going to be a greater success having you both there and your families. So the very best of luck to you both from ADRP, and we hope to catch up with you afterwards to see what the next instalment may or may not be.
No worries. Thanks very much.
No worries. Thanks, Brett. And, by all accounts, they really enjoy their racing up there. So hopefully we can put on a show for them and it should be pretty cool. So we're looking forward to going up there.